this topic right now. Whole headlines have been captured by Israel's push into Lebanon since September. But combat in Gaza has picked up in intensity during the same period, particularly in northern Gaza, where the IDF says that it is on a mission to root out Hamas's remaining capabilities. Now, they have been instructing residents to evacuate southwards, and critics of Israeli policy argue the state is forcibly removing civilians through military pressure, though Israel claims the orders are temporary. But with the ceasefire deal in the works in the north, now Gazans appear to be more on edge than ever about what that means for the future of the fighting in the enclave. And I'd like to turn back to you, Ali, on this specifically. What are we hearing from Gazans, from the Gazan public, and what are we hearing from Hamas when it comes to this ceasefire?
Huge concern that Israel succeeded to isolate, as Yaki mentioned, Gaza from the other fronts, and now that the IDF will be capable to send more troops to the Gaza Strip, which means more suffering to the Palestinian population. In the last month, backed by the war in Lebanon, Hamas, for example, succeeded to restore 60% of its power in center and south of Gaza Strip. Hamas police is now patrolling in the streets, is managing the whole life of the Palestinians, and now it is clear that IDF will put an end to this coming back of Hamas. And I think the biggest issue of the Palestinian is whether we are going to see a deal in Gaza or to see an intensifying of the war. And unfortunately, when I talk to people, it will not be the Gazans alone who will pay the price of the ceasefire in Lebanon. Hamas, I'm hearing that the Israeli hostages will be those also who will pay the price. This file will be in a very sensitive situation if the Israeli government will not push for a deal also in Gaza. And we know that the coalition calculations of Mr. Netanyahu do not help him to promote a deal right now in Gaza.
I would surprise you here, Ali. I think that the main sticking point is not the demand of the Hamas to end the war. It's not even the replacement of Hamas administrative capabilities by someone else that we don't know who it is. I think, again, we are coming back to this buffer zone. This is the main sticking point, because the people that lives right on the border with Gaza understands that they cannot have right on the border Gazans that might eliminate them in a ground invasion. So Israel is determined to keep this perimeter, this buffer zone in Gaza, and I think that this is the main sticking point in reaching any hostage deal in the near future.
Yes, but this buffer zone will not allow any Palestinian actor from the very moderate wing like Mohammed Dahlan. They want the sovereignty over the whole geography in Gaza to be ready to discuss an interim period in which they will be ruling the Gaza before preparing elections there or before uniting Gaza and the West Bank. So this is also a contradictory issue that Israel needs to deal with. On the security speaking, there must be this buffer zone. But this buffer zone will not allow Israel to find a Palestinian partner who will be ready to take control over the Gaza Strip.
All right. Now, Ali, unfortunately, you have to leave the studio right now, even though there is more issues that I wanted to talk about, including the axis of resistance and essentially what this means in terms of where we're going to see the focus when it comes to support for Hamas.
We're going to see more from Iraq and Yemen in the coming days if Hezbollah will really cease fire.
Now, Gidi, I'd like to turn back to you. I didn't forget about you. I know you're still waiting to kind of contribute to this conversation on Zoom. You know, what we just mentioned right now is that Hamas has reportedly received assurance from Iran that the axis of resistance is still going to be providing some level of support to Gaza, but from Iraq and Yemen. But what could we actually expect that to look like? And what does that mean for the future of negotiations right now?
I do believe that Iran is probably going right now through a major strategic reassessment. We have to remember that Iran is also heading to a succession of its leadership. Khamenei is very old, and they've already appointed his son. A succession is a very tender moment in the life of dictatorship and authoritarian regimes. So Iran has a lot of concerns. It's been exposed as basically its intelligence system has been breached. Israel has been able to take out the surface-to-air missiles around Tehran. A lot of issues to be concerned with, plus the system of proxies that was supposed to defend Iran turned out as a tool, as a vehicle to fight against Iran. So the Iranians have a lot of strategic homework to do. But I do want to go back to the conversation between Yaki and Ali. Look, there is a very simple, straightforward solution for Gaza. It's on the table since day one. The issue is that the government of Israel will not do it. And that is to re-extend the Oslo Accords to Gaza, to divide Gaza into areas A and B, to declare another interim period, to introduce an upgraded Palestinian Authority into Gaza, which will then allow the international community to come in and take Gaza over and manage the reconstruction and security over a few years period, during which inevitably there will be transition on the Palestinian side, because November 15, just a week ago, 10 days ago, was the 89th birthday of Mahmoud Abbas, Abu Mazen. Bottom line, we know exactly what needs to happen in Gaza. The issue is that the Israeli government has been speaking from both sides of its mouth, and there is no strategy. On one side, no, we will not take over Gaza. We're not chopping off parts of Gaza. There's not going to be resettlement. On the other side, clear policies in the direction of permanently holding Gaza and reinstituting settlements within Gaza. With this kind of split of strategy, it's very, very hard to make progress, and that makes Israel very vulnerable in Gaza in terms of its international standing and the legitimacy of its war. And by the way, for sure, I believe that President Trump will call Israel out on it early on in his tenure.
All right, Gidi Grinstein, I'd like to thank you so much for joining us on Zoom. Very interesting to hear your insight.